tribe. Welcome to the WUCUSU Lounge, where we talk personal growth, progress, and personal transformation. I'm your host, Brother Agyei Tyehimba, educator, author, community organizer, empowerment coach, and author of WUCUSU, a self-empowerment handbook. So relax, tune in, and let's get ready to build together. Peace and blessings, Wukusu family. Thank you for joining us for what I believe is the 11th consecutive weekly broadcast of Wukusu Lounge. Tonight, I want to share a powerful philosophy that I've created. It's something that actually is real life. It's something that helped me write books, heal from health challenges, rebuild my life, and stay focused in a world that's constantly trying to speed everything up, and it's called appropriately the turtle philosophy. So in a world that's obsessed with quick money, quick fame, shortcuts, overnight success, the turtle, nature, through the turtle, teaches us a slightly different lesson. It teaches us um, that we don't necessarily need to be fast all the time, right? uh, that empowerment often doesn't come from who's the fastest, right? So tonight we're going to break it down quickly. Now, here's the context. We're over with me and the Queen with family, and there's a festive environment, and so there will be some ambient noise. So I'm going to be quick as possible. So you'll have to bear with us, okay? Thank you. Having said that, why do I choose the turtle uh, for which the name is philosophy? Well, let's think about the turtle in terms of a metaphor or symbolically. The turtle is ancient, wise, resilient. The turtle never rushes. The turtle moves with intention. The turtle is self reliant. It carries its home on its back and its protection, meaning that it's self contained, self reliant, and self protected. Meanwhile, the society that we live in constantly tells us to hustle, until we burn out. Social media got us comparing our lives with strangers we don't even know. We don't even know if they're real or if they're being authentic, but social media has us comparing our relationships, our homes, our lives, our bodies with other people, and chasing goals that really don't belong to us. But the turtle, as a metaphor, reminds us fast doesn't always win. Slow is smooth, and smooth becomes mastery over time, right? So let's get into a few principles real quick. So we're taught again that success in this society is fast and flashy, right? But let me tell you this: 1 inch of progress every day beats 5 miles of effort once a year, right? And honestly speaking, that's how I wrote 20 ebooks and 6 paperback books, all of which, with the exception of one, was written after having serious health crises. That's how I co-founded Harlem Liberation School, the organization, and how I founded and how I host Harlem Liberation School, the YouTube channel. That's how I created a new channel called WUCUSU Empowerment. That's how I rebuilt my life after several very serious health challenges tried to take me out of here. Not by trying to do everything at once, not by being flashy, not by talking a lot about what I'm going to do, not by showing off, but just doing a little bit every single day, doing it consistently. Consistency, family, is the superpower that most people ignore. You don't need speed, you don't need perfect rhythm, you need routine and discipline, right? And so, for instance, if I were to give you an action plan to do for this upcoming week, how about, or the next 30 days, let's make it a little bit more challenging. Spend just 10 minutes a day working on one goal, one thing, not 100 goals, one goal, every day for 30 days, and see how your life begins to shift. You may learn a new skill, learn how to cook a new dish, increase your vocabulary, whatever it is. But if you did 10 minutes a day for 30 days straight, watch what I'm talking about. right? How being consistent, a little bit every day, creates miracles for him, right? Um, Principle number two: what makes the turtle unique is that it has a shell. Now, this shell is contrary to what some people think. It's not like a helmet. It's not like something it puts on. It's something that's part of its actual skeleton or exoskeleton. It's part of the turtle's body, right? And what it's teaching us is it doesn't need outside protection. It is its own protection, right? For us, the shell represents boundaries, right? Everybody is not supposed to have access to you. And the people that do have access to you are not supposed to have it every day, all day. Let me repeat that in case you missed it. Everybody and everything is not entitled to your time, your attention, your energy, or your peace. And here's something turtles do that most of we humans do not. When danger shows up, the turtle may fight every now and then. Some turtles bite, like box turtles. Turtles camouflage themselves to fit in with their environment so you don't even see them. And some turtles emit a very nasty smelling substance that drives most predators or other animals away. But most turtles, when danger shows up, it retreats, it withdraws into its shell, where 9 times out of 10, the animal can try to bite it, it ain't gonna work. They could throw it around, it ain't gonna work. They could attack it, it won't work because that turtle shell holds up to 1,000 pounds of pressure. So that means that it's incredibly strong. Now, what's the metaphor for us in terms of this philosophy I'm talking about? It means that when we have enemies, and I don't mean this literally, but people, enemies means people or forces that get in our way. So people who drain you is telling you pull back your energy, disengage. Projects that aren't aligned with your personality, your mission. You don't got to be feeling upset and getting all tight. Pull back, disengage, go into your shell. Environments that rob your peace, disturb your peace. You don't got to get all mad. Pull back into your own environment. Conversations that are very low vibrational. You don't have to get mad. Withdraw from it into your shell, right? Your shell, which is what? Your boundaries, uh, is not about being selfish. It's about surviving, oftentimes in enemy terrains or in hostile terrains, right? So, as if we were to give an action step for this week, identify one boundary that when you think over your life, that you need to reinforce this week with people. Go into your shell. You don't have to fight. You don't have to engage everybody um, in an aggressive way. Sometimes retreat into your own environment, into your own music, into your own videos, into different conversations. It will be enough. Principle number three. Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody. Okay. Principle number three would be, give me one sec. All right. To move mindfully. So you also, turtles are not impulsive. Turtles observe their terrain. They observe the environment before they move, right? Now, in our lives, too often we say yes to something way too quickly, or even no to something way too quickly without really giving it serious thought. We spend money too quickly. We make what's called impulsive purchases based on an emotional trigger that a commercial or an incident or a person uh, prompts us to make, right? Um, Sometimes we react, often violently, without thinking through things first. If I had punched this person in the eye, I'll feel good in the moment, but what's the negative ramifications I'm gonna have to deal with after that? If I curse somebody out, it feels good in the moment, but what's the negative things I have to deal with later, right? Also, sometimes we make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. This is why the elders I know used to tell me never make important decisions when I'm super duper happy, super duper sad, or super duper upset. Because typically when decisions are made in those type of emotional environments, you're making a bad decision that you will almost always regret later, right? So what we're saying essentially is that living like the turtle is a metaphor, uh, means slowing your mind down long enough to choose instead of react, right? And I think back, if I had embraced this philosophy much younger, there's certain fights I wouldn't have got into. There's certain arguments I wouldn't have got into. Definitely, there's certain decisions I made that I would not have made if I had thought more and give more time to really reflect on decisions and the likely outcomes of them, right? And there's certain moments in my life where I showed some maturity, where if I had moved impulsively and had not slowed down like I did, I would have ruined some beautiful opportunities, relationships with people, and even my future, right? So, for instance, there were times coming up where I came up, people our age was all smoking weed, some was sniffing cocaine, and doing a whole bunch of other stuff, right? So, largely because of my dad, who taught me when I was a little boy, don't mess with no drugs, scared the mess out of me, but also because I was an athlete, I was a young hip hop MC, I was a student. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to write books. I wanted to be like Malcolm X. I made choices. I thought. So somebody said, "You want some weed?" I said, "No, I'm good." I would think about that. Part of me wanted to do it because they were doing it, and I wanted to fit in. But I would think, I'm like, "Nah, I'm good." You want this drink? Nah, I'm good. Because what I read about the alcohol and killing your brain cells, and you can't think straight, you can't, be alert. I was like, nah, I'm good, right? So there were times in my life where I failed to make good decisions because I failed to think. And there was times when I made great decisions. And those times are when I did think about the consequences. And it happens to this day. I'm always thinking about, if I do this, say this, move this way, not just what's the immediate gain, but what happens down the road, right? And we might say that one measurement of one's maturity is the extent to which they think before they make critical decisions, right? So this turtle philosophy that I kind of have developed, it teaches us to pause, to read the room, to listen to our inner voice or intuition, and to reflect and give serious thought to what we're thinking about doing. And then when we do move, to move with intention, right? Also, another principle. Oh, so what we're saying is basically, don't allow your instinct to be fast, to make quick decisions, destroy what patience could have really built for you in your life, right? A lot of times in our lives, we don't get second chances. We don't get a do-over. So we do want to move with wisdom. This is why my grandmother, my grandfathers used to say, measure twice and cut once. What does that mean? Let's say I'm trying to put a new dresser in the bedroom, right? So I go out, oh, that dresser is hot. Look at the wood. Look how much it costs. It's on sale. So without thinking and measuring it, looking at the measurements of that thing, looking at the measurements of my door, looking at the measurements of my room, right? Because I have a space I want to put it. I just go ahead and buy it. Now I done bought this dresser out of impulse because it was on sale and I like the color and I need a dresser, but I didn't measure, or my measurement was not thorough. So now I get this thing and find out I can't even bring it into the room, or I can't put it in the space I had. It's too big. So now what? I wasted time. So now what I have to do? I have to send it back. I have somebody pick it up, right? So when you don't measure twice, meaning you don't think, do due diligence, do your research, right? You end up making a decision. You have to what? Now you have to undo a decision, right? So now you've wasted more time, right? So that's another thing to think about. I want to say this too. Patience, principle four, patience is a superpower. I want you to really hear me clearly. Patience is not passive. People think, when they say patience is a virtue, I ain't gonna be waiting around forever. I ain't gonna take my time. That's weak. You're supposed to move quick. I don't think I would disagree with that. I say patience is a superpower when used correctly. I would say being patient is powerful, because we live in a microwave world. Everybody wants results quick. Everybody wants to get to fame quick, get attention quick, get awards real quick without doing the work, without doing the proper due diligence, the proper study, you know. And they looking at people that seem to be doing good in something and think, oh, they just dropped from Mars and started doing good without understanding that those people, 9 times out of 10, worked at that thing that now they're getting attention for. They really put in hours of study, rehearsal, practice before they became such a great musician. They didn't just drop off in the earth knowing how to play that instrument so well. So people see the outcome, don't see all the work put in when everybody else was sleeping, partying, whatever they was doing. This person was practicing that instrument. That young scholar was studying and writing papers to the wee hours of the night, right? That's what it's about. Right? So what I want to say is, despite how it looks, people think they're going to jump on YouTube, they're going to have a billion subscribers. Nah, man, family. Anything real, anything meaningful, and anything worth having requires time. You can't rush. And we know this is true because if you look at trees, plants, the development, birth, all of that takes time. You go get your avocados, you get your tomatoes, you get all your stuff you like, but you don't think about it. That took months and months for that avocado to go from a seed to a fruit, for that pumpkin, that watermelon, that squash to go from a seed to a whole complete fruit. And guess what? One of the most important fruits, you and me, after conception, from our moms and dads, it took an average of 9 entire months, almost a year, for you to come into a complete form of a human being as a baby. Everything important takes time, right? So what happens with time? Let me tell you something what you can't rush. What you can't rush is mastery. You can't rush healing if you're in an accident or if you had a stroke or heart attack, whatever. You can't rush coming back to health. You got to take your time. You can't rush building skill, whether that's your vocabulary, your knowledge of geography, world politics, history, or anything. You can't rush wisdom. Wisdom takes making mistakes, study, thinking about your past, talking to people who know more. All of that takes time. Spiritual growth. You're not going to do meditation for 1 month and now all of a sudden you're a spiritual guru. No, it takes time, right? The reading of different sacred scriptures, maybe yoga, understanding meditation, doing it properly and effectively, um, doing affirmations, reading all types of different texts. That takes time. Emotional maturity, knowing your triggers, identifying the things that make you feel sad or depress you or drain you, and then coming up with strategies to effectively deal with those things. It takes time. There's things you can't rush. And I can bear witness every major achievement in my life, everything that I got props for, or that gave me so-called clout, came from patience. It came from slow, steady, consistent work and effort over time. Sometimes talent had something to do with that. Intelligence had something to do with that. But honestly, even with those two big things, it wouldn't have meant nothing if I didn't have the patience to grind it out every day. So, for instance, in middle school and high school, I was in the public library that was 2 blocks away from me in Harlem. I was going to the Schomburg Library, studying there. I was going to First World Alliance as a middle school, high school student. And there I would hear greats like Dr. Jeffries, Professor Smalls, John Henry Clark, Marimba Ani, Amos Wilson, Dr. Ben, and on and on and on, right? So now you take from the time I'm about 13 all the way to now, right? That's more than 4 decades that I've been involved with that. So if you oh you speak so well, that's a gift. But honestly, I've spoken since I was a little boy in the church. I've spoken when I was captain of the football team. I spoke when I was on the student council. All these different experiences, student activism, right? So I spoken word poet, right? So my point is to say, even if you have a gift, meaning something that you were born with, you still got to work at it, right? Or you lose it. You got to still work at it to sharpen it up and refine it. Everything took time. I can write a poem relatively quickly. I can write books pretty quickly, but that came through years and years of writing. I didn't just pop out and write books. Took years to get there, right? So that's very important. I want you to ask yourself when you're. I want you to ask yourself when this is over. What am I trying to rush that probably needs more time? And this is what I'm trying to tell you. If you don't do this, what's gonna happen? You will embarrass yourself. You will rush through a project. I should say you did something and get it out, and it will be full of errors. It'll have mistakes. And people are like, what is wrong with this person putting this thing out? And it's all you had to do was take your time, do it right the first time, right? Why? Because if I'm writing books and there's tons of spelling errors, the paragraphs ain't formatted right, some paragraphs are justified, some are left indented. People are gonna see that. I got the wrong page. People are gonna see that and they're gonna say, "Yo, this dude Agyei, man, his work is it's rat, it's whack." So it's very important we do. It's very, very, very important. I think I also learned this from playing sports. In football, the coach will make you do if you keep messing up play as a team. Sometimes they split the team. He'll have the offensive players on the team and the defensive players, or he'll split them up so that the team is playing each other. It's called a scrimmage. And if you messing up plays, he will run that play over and over and over until you get it right. That teaches, it forces you to learn patience because you're not going to move on until you master that play. And a good coach is going to make sure because when that game comes and he says 44 ice, he don't want nobody on your team trying to figure out what that is in the middle of the play. When the huddle, when that quarterback calls the play, you go down, you get set in formation, and he's going hut hut. You can't be trying to figure out as the running back, do I go left or do I go right? You got to know that, right? Okay. So think about that this week. What am I rushing? That I should probably take my time. Because it's better that you take your time and things come out right than you rush it to say you did it and it comes out like crap. Principle number 5, trust the process, family. Not the pace, the process. The lesson here is simple. Progress doesn't have to be fast to be meaningful. It just has to be consistent. So a turtle might move slowly, but it gets where it's going every single time, largely because it doesn't stop moving. Right now, if you think about the famous children's story, we call it sometimes the turtle and the hare. I think it was really the tortoise and the hare. Tortoise being a form of turtle, hare being a form of rabbit. Now the rabbit was blazing fast. The tortoise or the turtle was slower than oatmeal going up a hill, right? But what happened is that when they started the race, the rabbit teased the turtle, "Ah, you so slow. Let's race. I'll tear you up." The turtle said, "Okay, let's do it." And everyone's like, "Oh my God, how could the turtle be so confident?" The turtle was mad slow going up to the starting point. The rabbit was there already bragging, making fun of the turtle. As soon as that whistle went off, the rabbit took off. Boom! All the turtle saw was a blur as the rabbit went past him. Right? Everybody's laughing at the turtle. Look how slow he is. Dad, he can't even move. run fast, look like he's walking backwards. But he never stopped. He didn't let people making fun of him. He didn't let other people's expectations get in the way of what he knew he had to do. And most importantly, he didn't let the fact that the rabbit was killing him in the race disenchant him or make him quit. He kept moving, slow as all get out, but he kept moving. So what happens? The rabbit looks behind him. He sees the turtle look like he's 3 miles behind him. He said, "Oh, this slow turtle, man." So you know what? I'm gonna take a nap. I'm gonna win this. I could take a whole nap. The rabbit decides to stop where he is. He's way ahead of the turtle, and he actually gets off on the side and lays down and goes to sleep. When the rabbit fan finally wakes up, he sees that slow turtle crossing the finish line. Everybody's cheering. What an upset! Oh my God, the turtle won. How can he do it? And it was no mystery. While the rabbit was BSing, talking loud, bragging, being arrogant, and going to sleep, taking all types of breaks, that turtle kept moving, never stopped, right? And that's why he won. Now, we know life isn't technically a race, it's a journey. And if you move at other people's pace, you will never win. People are built different. You got to get in where you fit in, find your own pace, right? But if you move at your pace and you never quit, you never make excuses not to do something. That's one of our problems is often we make a million excuses not to do something, but don't make a million excuses to do something. So what happens is when you keep making excuses for why you shouldn't do something that you're supposed to be doing, you're always going to lose. It's kind of predictable, right? So what we want to say here is trust your timing, choose your own pace, trust the process, right? Not don't measure your effectiveness by how fast you did something. Measure your effectiveness by how well you did something, how long your work stands the test of time, right? Think of the Great Pyramids in Kemet, what some of you refer to as Egypt. We know that they didn't put those pyramids up in a day, a week, or a month. Some people say it took years. But one of the key things about the pyramids as one of the natural wonders of the world is that it's one of the few remaining wonders of the world that's still intact. You can still go see them. Now, yes, it lost some of its luster due to erosion from the weather, but it's still there. You can go touch it. Towering figures, still there, thousands of years. That's the measurement. Not how quick you did something, how long what you did last, right? So think about that. And there's a few things to discuss too. There's some common obstacles to living like the turtle. We struggle with this type of philosophy in this society because of number one, comparison. We're always comparing ourselves to other people. We always try, well, this what they doing, and this what he got, and this what. First of all, you don't know how those people got it. You don't know if what those people telling you about their life is true. Some people know to exaggerate. They make themselves feel better, make you feel bad. So when you compare yourself, your chapter 2 to somebody else's chapter 20, you are always going to be disillusioned, right? That is one of the things that makes you say, "Oh, I want to be like do what they doing, so they rushing. Let me rush to do what they." They may have been working on that thing for years. You trying to rush to get something out, your quality won't be as good. So never compare yourself with others, fam. Number two, another obstacle that gets in the way of moving like a turtle in terms of this turtle philosophy is that uh, many times we're impatient. We want the awards, we want the Oscar award, never took acting class, never acted in a play, never tried to act in anything. It's just come on. Like you can't want the reward without doing the work, right? Number three is the negative or what I call limiting or self-defeating self-talk. So you're saying to yourself, I should have more money than this. I should be living here. I should have been where he is. Mm-mm. Don't fall into that trap because it'll be the same things that you say to yourself in a negative that will get in your way of getting you out of the situation you're in. If you're in a ditch and you're trying to get out, the last thing you want to say is, I'll never get out this ditch. No matter what I do, there'll be no motivation to you trying to get out. So it's the people who say, I'm in a ditch. I owe all this money, or my health is terrible, or whatever, but I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to learn about my situation. I'm going to see what options are available to me, and I'm going to execute. I'm going to do something every day to turn my health situation around, to turn my finances around. I'm going to get financial literacy. I'm going to learn how to invest. I'm going to learn how to save different ways of saving money, right? I'm going to find ways to bring more income in. That's how the champs think about it. And anybody coming to the WUCUSU Empowerment channel is trying to be a champion. Number four, we tend to get involved with distractions. That gets in the way of us living like the term. So, the social media, we scrolling for hours when we told them we ain't got no money. And we scrolling on some phone, and that 3 hours spent could have been used what? Learning how to get more money, or working a job, learning a skill. You see what I mean? Or we say, oh man, I ain't got no time. Yeah, you got time. 24 hours is enough. But if you spend 4 hours of that time farting it away, yeah, you won't have enough time. So a lot of times the distractions, the drama we engage ourselves in, the noise, being overly stimulated, trying to do a million things gets in the way. So to overcome some of these things, there are three things I would suggest as a coach, empowerment coach. Identify and limit your distractions. Celebrate small wins to keep you motivated to do more. Also, focus on your lane. This is very, when I was growing up, I saw brothers that could ride unicycles, and I would be amazed by it. Wow, how do you ride that big, tall contraption with one wheel? How does he balance himself? I saw people at the African events, cultural events, that be walking on stilts. I'm like, oh my God, how do they do that? I saw people that were drumming. I saw all types of things. But, and if I had tried to do all those things, because other people did well in them, I would have never got around to finding out what I was good at, right? So what I found out is I'm really good with words and writing poetry and speaking. So I became a poet, a hip hop MC, what you might call a rapper, right? I did really well in school. I wrote papers. I got to write books, writing, perform poetry, and I noticed that I'm good at leading and organizing and inspiring. So rather than trying to copycat what other people are doing, I found my lane. Does this make sense? If you fail to focus on what you're good at, what you're here to do, and you're chasing behind other people, that's another thing that will get you off this kind of turtle philosophy track that I'm talking about. So in closing, family, what I want to say is that your life will change when you embrace this turtle philosophy. I'm dead serious. And what does that mean? Slow down a little bit. Don't try to hurry up everything fast. Don't try. No, because you're going to produce sloppy work. It's predictable. You're going to find a million mistakes that you would have caught if you would have just took your time instead of trying to compete with other people, right? Or be in other people's lane. Two, move steady. Be smooth. Move with intention. Don't just jump out there. Think, what does this require? What's the skill set? What's the equipment I need? What types of information do I need to know? What type of environment do I need to have, right? What's the cost of this? All of this stuff. Protect your peace. Don't feel you got to engage everything and fight everybody. Go into your shell. Hmm? And never stop moving. Choose a goal, work a little bit, work on it a little bit every day, even when you don't always feel like it. If you don't feel like it, instead of doing an hour, do 5 minutes, but do something every day. Never let days go by where you're not moving on your goal. And remember, I said you can change it. The days you don't feel well, or you're really busy with other stuff, then do 5 minutes instead of 50 minutes, but do something. Um, Protect your energy. Go into your shell. Know when to retreat and go into your shell, right? And trust the process. So if you gained any value from tonight's particular weekly WUCUSU Lounge session, hit that like button. Share it with somebody you love and invite them to join the Wukusu empowerment movement. I definitely appreciate you and appreciate you coming through, family. You don't know how much that means. Even if nobody's on here or if one person on here, it's very important. Now, I want to quickly put a few things up. I'm going to put this on the ticker. Baba Afan is trying to get to Sierra Leone, get his dual citizenship. He has found out through DNA testing that he has Sierra Leonean lineage. He wants to get his dual citizenship, which he's entitled to. He wants to go to a particular ceremony to get it, and he's raising money to get there and to pay for that ceremony. His time is running out, family. We need this brother needs to get a few G's to be able to make that reality. So please support him. I have the GoFundMe is up there. I believe I put the description. It's also in the description section of this video. You can click on it, go right to GoFundMe, check it out for yourself, learn more about it. Also want to say, um, I have some comments I want to get into. First of all, we got this brother Afan right there. He's saying peace. He says some of our inability to use turtle philosophy lies in our socialization. So he's talking about being oppressed and not having control of our communities and environments, and that is absolutely right and exact. He says that it creates a psychodynamic of emotional impulsivity. Yes, and let's add to that too, to build on what brother says. Um, any African-centered nationalist, Pan-Africanist type of psychologist will tell you that, and for instance, if you take Dr. Joy DeGruy and she talks about the post-traumatic slave syndrome, she talks about all this stuff that happened to our ancestors, the dehumanization, the demeaning treatment, the sexual and physical assault, the centuries long campaign of anti-black propaganda that said we ugly, we smell bad, we late, we can't organize, we don't like to read and learn, all this stuff wears on people over time. Not on just individuals, on whole families, whole communities, right? And so when you've been told you are nothing, have nothing, and can be nothing for so long in so many mediums, right? Movies, songs, nursery rhymes, family jokes, postcards, I can go on and on. Then you come up feeling insecure, and we know insecure people overcompensate. One of the ways we overcompensate is by buying shit we can't afford to look a certain way, acquiring status symbols so we can feel important rather than really be important, and all these other things. So all of this ties in exactly what our brother is saying. He also says that chronic stress and trauma physically reforms the brain, affecting the amygdala and prefrontal cortex. So our capacity for high executive thinking, reasoning, and planning became or becomes hampered, right? And control of our emotions is diminished. And he says this is why he connects all that now to saying this is why it's so important to be able to control our communities and environments, have our own schools, banks, medical facilities, other institutions, so that we are not subjected to constant social trauma. Impatience, rushing, impulsiveness also plays into the hands of those who mistreat us and exploit us. And that is very important, right? And he agrees that conscious, intentional patience is a source of power. That is absolutely right and exact. So I'm glad Brother Bob Fan made it to give us some of his perspectives. We definitely I want you to support his attempt to get to Sierra Leone to get the money to go. I have that in the description section. Check out the link, family. Go check it out. You can give $5 or $10, $2. Give something. Let's support each other in tangible ways, and learn more about why he's going there and what it means to him and how he's trying to spread the teachings of Dr. Amos Wilson throughout different countries in Africa. Very important. So, family, with that said, I want to also say that our good sister, Umeki Harmon, who was supposed to have been a guest last night on our show, on our broadcast here on WUCUSU Empowerment channel, she called me maybe half an hour before the show and told me, unfortunately, that her mother transitioned. I can say that publicly now because she made that public today on Facebook. I wanted to respect her, respect her family, not talk prematurely, but she very sadly called me and said my mom was transitioning And so I can't do the show. And of course, I didn't keep on the phone. I said, "Sister, say less. My condolences. You're in our prayers and affirmations. And please, you know, couldn't tell them much, but you handle your business, and we'll talk to you when the time when you feel the time is right. So please, family, keep our dear sister Yumeki Harmon in your prayers. This is a sister that works to educate our sisters who are battered and abused in domestic violence type of situations. Actually, and some, when she needs to, actually arranges to get them relocated out their homes and relocated somewhere else where they could be safe and their children could be safe. So man, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But when you think about all the work people do, the people who are stewards in our community, when you look to them, they're rocks. They're the people we go to for help. And it reminds you, we need support too. So please take a few minutes. If you know Sister Yameki, if you don't, just say your prayer, meditation, your affirmation, whatever you do. Certainly, WUCUSU Empowerment Channel and Harlem Liberation School gives that sister, that queen, that modern day Harriet Tubman our sincere condolences. Because that's not something I think you get over. Maybe something you understand better, you wrap your mind around, but you never really get over the death of a loved one. And so, certainly, heartfelt condolences to Sister Yumeki. Those of you who are listening, thank you so much for listening, paying attention. I hope you got some value out of this particular broadcast. We are wrapping up, family. This is the 11th broadcast straight every week. Pretty soon, once we get to December 8th, yes, I think December 8th might be our last broadcast for 2025 because your brother got to take a break. I have to practice when I preach. The turtle take a little break. I'll do a little less. I'm still gonna be doing stuff, but I have to pull back, and then we'll get ready for the new year. Thank you, family. Peace and blessings. Have a wonderful evening.